This episode of the What's Happening Delco podcast is brought to you by Delco Meets for Business. Check us out on Meetup, register, and attend one of our fantastic networking meetings, which we meet on the first and third Thursday at the Brick House in Ridley Park, and the second and fourth Thursday at the Upper Crust in Newtown Square. We look forward to seeing you there. What's happening, Delco? I'm Rich Shane, and welcome to the What's Happening Delco podcast. Today, I'm joined by Sal Trovato of STM Sports and Collectibles. Sal, welcome to the podcast.
Rich, thank you so much for having me on. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we're going to talk sports. We're going to talk collectibles. We're just going to talk about a lot of things because you got a lot of stuff behind you there. What is STM Sports and Collectibles?
So STM Sports and Collectibles is kind of a conglomeration of a few different sectors of business. So I have one section being my marketing aspect. I have a background in graphic design, marketing, and advertising. So I like to help small businesses build their brands, develop their logo designs, build up their websites, have a social media presence, advertise their business, anything to kind of boost their sales and their bottom line. I'm interested in working with small businesses and creating personal relationships to help people do that. The second aspect of my business is the sports related content. I create, content on Instagram. I buy, sell, trade sports memorabilia. Obviously, as you can see behind me, I'm a collector as well. So I just enjoy the hobby, and I love to put that out to people to let them enjoy that experience and try and make new friends and make new developments in any sports sector that I can.
What can people expect when they work with you, Sal?
So what people can expect when they work with me is a personal experience, I think. I really enjoy, like I said, building my network in any aspect of my business, whether it's the sports content or the collectible side of it, or whether it's the marketing and business development side of it. I really enjoy helping people create a custom experience for their business. When I work with a company, I like to do a discovery phase and learn as much about their business and their personality as possible, because that's where I develop kind of a custom plan to help them grow their business. And each business is unique. Each person is unique. Each journey is unique. So I like to think that I create a kind of a customized experience for each person that I work with. So that's kind of a little bit of a different approach than you would get from some of these larger corporate companies. It's just a little bit more of a personal approach, I feel.
How did you get started in this industry that you're in? What was like that flame, that spark that just started for you?
Well, I have always been a creative personality, and in high school, that's kind of when computers started coming to the forefront, and graphic design was something that I was very interested in. And I quickly realized that I was really good at it. I've always enjoyed art. I've always enjoyed learning about art history and that type of thing. But when I realized that I could turn that over into a computer side and graphic side of it, it really kind of caught my attention. So I have a history in graphic design. I have a bachelor's degree from Temple University, Tyler School of Art in graphic and web design. Started out in the industry working at a smaller advertising agency in Center City, Philadelphia. Worked there for about 10 years, ended up purchasing that agency and rebranding it with my business partner. And we focused mostly on corporate, nonprofit design, marketing type things. But as time went on, I realized I've always been a sports collector and a sports enthusiast and fanatic. And I wanted to see if I can try and make my passion into my profession. So what I ended up doing was, transitioning from that corporate job and opening up STM Sports and Collectibles, where I can kind of merge those two things together. Show people my collection, work with small business owners to help them promote their brands, sports related kind of crossover where I can book athletes for events for these people. I can have a private signing with some of the Phillies and promote it. So there's a lot of crossover in my business, but I really love what I do and I enjoy it. And I definitely feel this is my path and my calling. So.
All right. So we have the design and marketing aspect of where, that kind of got started for you, the education part. What about the sports and the collection side?
Yeah, that, like I said, that's always been something that I was passionate about. creating my own designs for athletes to sign, custom canvases, custom baseball cards. I do, custom baseball cards for little league teams where each kid has their own pack of baseball cards. Just to see them open up stuff like that is something that's, it's a joy for me to have a little kid open up and see his face on a baseball card. It's something that makes it all worthwhile. So I knew that there was going to be some kind of crossover at some point, because the sports related stuff started to creep a little bit more and more into my time, and I was enjoying it a lot more. So that's kind of where I said, I need to just take the jump. It was during COVID. I was working from home, and I said, I can do this full time. I can make this my career, and I haven't looked back since. And it's been a heck of a ride, and I'm enjoying every second of it for sure.
Do you remember your first autograph or your first interaction with a sports figure?
I do, actually. Yes. I grew up in Brooklyn, and my dad was a Mets fan, so we used to go to all of the Mets games and everything like that. And one of my first autographs was actually when I was about 7 or 8 years old. I was at a Mets pitching camp because I used to play Little League. I was a pitcher. My dad was a pitcher. And they had Mel Stottlemyre, the former Met and the former Mets pitching coach, come in to do a pitching clinic. And I got pulled out of the crowd, and I got to do the clinic with him. He signed a baseball for me. I got my picture in the newspaper. It was, every kid's dream, right? So that was my first autograph that I ever got. And that's what started this. Some would say it's an addiction, but I say it's, a hobby, but I still have that ball. It's on display on my mantle, and I'll never get rid of it. It's one of my prized collection pieces for sure.
So you do a lot of collection shows, I'm sure, or you're scouring the internet. What are some of those pieces that may be seen like just random, but people are looking for right now?
Yeah. I mean, so in the sports collecting world, right, it hit a big bubble and a boom, I would say, during COVID. Lots of people were stuck at home. Lots of people were getting back into the hobby, right? There was a little bit of a lull in the 90s and the early 2000s. But during COVID, I would say a lot of people, probably around your age, my age, who used to collect as kids, got back into the hobby and started investing in sports cards. That bubble has kind of come down a little bit, and the prices are coming back down to reality. So I would say most sought after cards right now are probably, the legendary people like the Michael Jordans, the Mickey Mantles. Vintage cards are becoming very popular again. They've always had a good base, but I would say if I was investing in sports cards, if I was getting into that industry, my recommendation would be to stay away from the newer prospects, stay away from, investing in these guys who haven't proven themselves yet. I would invest in they call them the GOATs, right? The greatest of all times, the Michael Jordans, the Wayne Gretzky's, even Tiger Woods in golf. There's all different kinds of sports that you can invest in. But for somebody getting into the hobby, stick with the classics. That would be my recommendation.
Right now, you have a collection of your own. What would you say to you as you think about and look at what you have? What would you say is the Mount Rushmore in your collection? The 4 things that you would say, I got that.
4 things. Okay. You're putting me on the spot there. My number 1 would definitely be my Mickey Mantle signed baseball. That was a gift that my dad gave to me when I was about 10 years old. And it was just one of those moments that, like you said, waking up on Christmas morning, opening up that box and seeing a Mickey Mantle signed baseball, it's every kid's dream. So that's a piece that it will never, ever leave my collection. I don't care how much somebody offers me. It's too sentimental to me, right? My second piece would probably be my Michael Jordan autographed photo. I was a huge Michael Jordan fan growing up as a kid. And that is a piece that I've always wanted to get. So that's something that will never again, unless I upgrade to a nicer one, which, it costs a little bit more money nowadays, but that would be something that I would probably not get rid of. And there's always pieces in my collection that are for, they call them the PC, right? The personal collection, that they're not for sale, not for trade. Don't worry about asking me because it's not leaving my house. So I have a few other items laying around that I think, probably will end up being passed down to my kids if they have any interest whatsoever in collectibles and follow in my footsteps. But if not, that's okay too. They can do what they want with them.
In what you do, Sal, are there people that motivate you? Are there people that mentor you, you go to for either advice or inspiration?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's a big part of business in general, right? I mean, you meet people, you learn from their experiences, you learn from, advice that they give you. And, some advice you have to take with a grain of salt because it might not be what is right for you, right? But you're always trying to absorb as much information as you can. And that was me growing up in, and learning how to start a business, learning how to deal with customers and clients and different personalities that you're going to encounter. You have to kind of be flexible with that type of stuff. So some of the greatest advice that I got was from my father growing up. He's a very successful, corporate businessman. And so I have that corporate side to me, which is nice because I can deal with different levels of management. I can deal with, any problem solving issues that I might have. I'm a good project manager, task delegator, that type of thing. But I also have the personality from my mom that I got from her, which was, the outgoing personality, the friendly, being able to talk to anybody, not being uncomfortable in any situation and just making the most of it. So my parents were definitely a big inspiration for me. And I would say my first business inspiration would be, my previous owner of the agency who I purchased the agency from, which is Deborah Malinix, a very successful businesswoman and in a woman of distinction, she would call herself, in Philadelphia. So she really helped guide my journey to owning a business and developing a client base and networking. And so I owe a lot to Deborah Malinix for sure. She's a great woman, and I wouldn't be here without her for sure.
Sal, what motivates you? What gets you out of bed every morning?
Oh man, I love what I do. I really love what I do. When I decided to make that change and the transition in my business to focus on sports marketing and advertising and sports collectibles, I knew that that's what was meant for me, and I enjoy every aspect of it, whether it's just looking through my cards every morning, whether it's selling a piece, buying a piece, collecting, meeting people. I love all things sports. And that's really what motivates me. That's what gets me up in the morning is really, if you love what you do, it's a cliche, but if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. I mean, some people say that that's not true because if you love what you do, you work harder than anybody else and you push yourself and you motivate yourself. And that's kind of a mixture of the both of them. I love what I do and I want to succeed. And every day is an opportunity to make progress and to better yourself and to create something, a connection with somebody, or, design a logo and help a business, or even do something personal with my family and, build a bond and a memory with them. But it's just every day you have to take that opportunity to seize the day and really make the most of it. And that's how I try and look at my life for sure.
To your point, I think if you love what you do, time is different.
Mm-hmm.
The never working a day in your life part it's just how you look at time.
Right.
And that I think is the mental shift that if you love what you do, you're not watching the clock move, wondering how quickly you can get to that time number, whatever that is, it's all right. I know I get to do this at this time, I get to help people. I have this great appointment set up, all these things that are filled in your day. And that's the perception of time versus time being your enemy.
Right.
And just trying to get through the day rather than, take from the day, get to have that experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. You have to kind of soak it all in sometimes. Like I've been in situations where, you say, I can't believe I'm standing next to this person, right? Like my brand has grown, pretty significantly over the year. I've only started my Instagram page, a year ago, and, I'm almost at 5,000 followers already. So I've built that up. The second brand I'm building is called the Authentic Expo, which is we just held the Authentic Expo in Philadelphia, which is a sports marketing a sports card collectible showcase. We had 27 Philadelphia Phillies signers there. We had Charlie Manuel, we had John Kruk, we had Gary Maddox. Most of the 1993 team came out. We had 70 vendor tables. So, to put something together like that takes a lot of time and effort. It was not an easy task to do. There was a lot of, the devil's in the details when it comes to something like that, because you want everybody to have the best personal experience that they can have. So it took a lot of my time, and it was draining. But when you get to that moment where you walk in the door and it's showtime, and you see all the people and you see everything come together, it makes it all worth it, man. It really, looking around and standing next to, Charlie Manuel and being able to interview Charlie Manuel, I'm like, all right, I've arrived here a little bit. It's a great feeling to see some of that stuff kind of pay off. So, it's hard work, but it's going to be worth it in the end. So that's the way I look at it. It's the journey is going to be tough, but the payoff is going to be good. So,
hey, my understanding is Charlie Manuel left saying, I got to talk to Sal Trovato today. So
yeah. I will tell you though, Charlie Manuel, probably one of the nicest guys you will ever meet. He's exactly how you picture him. The friendly uncle type, Uncle Charlie, right? And he is an encyclopedia of baseball knowledge. So I could sit there and talk to that guy for hours and listen to his stories. And, he would be just as happy to do it. So that was definitely a very exciting moment for me, getting to meet him and interview him for sure.
You mentioned your Instagram, your followers. How do people find you on your socials?
Sure. Yeah. So on Instagram is my main platform, I would say. That's where I share a lot of my sports related content. It would be at STM _sports and collectibles. So STM Sports and Collectibles with an underscore there. My website is www.stmsportsandcollectibles.com. Like I mentioned before, my website is more focused on my marketing services, my graphic design, website development, video production, editing, booking an athlete for an appearance, that type of thing. My social media is more for my collectibles and a little bit more fun, relaxed, kind of laid back content.
And we'll have all that information linked in the show notes for this show, for this episode. But we're in Delco, Sal. We're not in Brooklyn anymore. We're in Delco. So if you have a cheesesteak craving, where are you going?
Man, I think one of the best cheesesteaks around in Delco is either Las Pedas on McDade Boulevard or Thunderbird Pizza in Springfield. I love their cheesesteaks. It's a good local, or Las Pedas is right around the corner from my house. So I'm there pretty frequently. But if you're traveling into Philadelphia, it's another story. Then you open up the whole, Pandora's box of cheesesteak possibilities. So, locally, those are the two that I would recommend.
Well, is pizza less of a Pandora's box for you if you're looking for pizza in Delaware County?
Yeah. I think the go-to would probably be Pinocchio's Pizza, right? They're a legendary establishment right on Baltimore Pike, right in Media. The kids love Pinocchio's when we go there because they get to play with the dough and they get to watch the guy making the pizza. So it's an experience for sure. But yeah, Pinocchio's is always a family favorite, definitely.
All right, you're heading to a collectible show, maybe the stadium. You need a convenience store option. Where are you going? Royal Farms or Wawa?
Oh, come on. Right? It's a Wawa for sure. Royal Farms, they're a lot fewer far between, right? There's a couple on 95 that you'll run into, but you can't ignore Wawas. You run in there, you get a hoagie and, grab a soda and maybe a sizzly or something like that. But yeah, definitely a Wawa. They're everywhere. So
Sal, how do you describe Delco to somebody that may not have been here or have never heard of Delco before?
Interesting. Okay, that's an interesting question. I would say Delco is a suburb of Philadelphia, right? A very large suburb. Delco runs all the way from, I live almost on the border of Delaware, and then you're looking at, above Philadelphia as well. So it's a suburb of Philadelphia where I would say it's each neighborhood or each city or town in Delco is a very strong community vibe, right? A lot of people that grew up in Delco still live in Delco. Their family lives in Delco. Their friends are all here. So everybody knows everybody, right? We're all Phillies fans. We're all Eagles fans, and it's definitely a good bond in this area for sure. I would say, it's some areas of Delco you can go and there's wineries and, farms, and, it's beautiful. You can go for trail walks. So, or you can, have a little bit of a hometown vibe in a place like Media. So there's a lot of options in Delaware County, and it's just a great place to live. I love it. I've lived here since I graduated high school and moved here. I lived in and around Delco and, Philadelphia, for a good portion of my life. And I'm very happy that I made that decision to move to this area for sure.
You touched on it a little bit. You have friends or family coming in from out of town and you want to give them that Delco experience. Where are you sending them, or where are you taking them?
All right. Depends on what kind of family you have. If you have a family who enjoys the outdoors, I would say it would probably be a place like Longwood Gardens. Linville Orchards is a great place to take the kids. If you're coming in, like I said, Delco is where I live, at least, it's a very short commute to the city. So you can definitely catch a Phillies game, a Flyers game, an Eagles game. There's a lot of great little downtown. I mean, I would recommend going to downtown Media. There's a lot of great local shops there, some antique stores. There's an arcade for the kids in Media. So that's really kind of where I guide people to, just because it's local and I'm familiar with it. Great places to eat, fantastic restaurants. I've always been a fan of Iron Hill Brewery. Their first location was in Media, Pennsylvania, and now they've expanded and grown. So there's a lot of options for sure if you're coming to Delco. But you would know. So if anybody needs tips, find what's happening in Delco, and Rich will take care of you, I'm sure.
We'll see what we can do. And I'll tell you, we learn more from the people we talk to. And like you said, Lespedas and Pinocchios, and every once in a while, somebody will throw in a place that we've not either been to, or like, wow, how come I've never heard of that before? And this is the fun, because now we give a little spotlight to that business, and some other people say, now this is my new favorite too, which is really cool.
Yeah, there's always new options popping up too. I mean, so definitely, if you're looking for some good food, Delco is definitely a great place to live for sure.
Sal, is there anything we haven't talked about on the podcast today? Anything you want listeners to know about you or STM Sports and Collectibles?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like I said before, I just want to, well, first of all, say thank you for having me on. I really do appreciate you guys taking the time and reaching out. This has been great. So, if the thing that I would say is, most business owners, sometimes the experience that I've seen is that they know sometimes what they need to do, but they don't have the time to do it themselves. And that's, if you're looking to grow your business, you really do need to have a consistent social media presence. You really need to have an updated website, an updated branding, and possibly factor in some marketing into your budget. And some people, that can be a little scary for them at times. They're not sure how to take that jump into really doing a marketing campaign. And that's really kind of where I come in is, I try and guide you to the right process, right? And I'm not looking to come in and jump up a huge invoice on you. I want to focus and tailor-made a campaign for you that's going to be within your budget, but you're going to get the most bang for your buck. And really, that's where the success lies, is maximizing the amount of visibility that you can get from a campaign or from, a social media marketing campaign or a website design, but really not break the bank, right? So that's really what I try and focus on is helping businesses grow and be visible to people in their market and in their sector, and really target their specific target demographic. There's no point in advertising in a New York Times magazine, or doing something that, running an advertisement on a radio station that isn't in your demographic, right? So we want to really focus on who your target market is and help you reach those people. And that's what I specialize in. So if anybody out there is looking for help, or just, a consultation to see what we can do for your business to help you, my information is available, and I will be happy to have a conversation with you.
Sal, thanks so much. Thanks for your time. You're somebody that people feel comfortable talking to. We could talk all day: sports, Delco, marketing, I'm grateful for your time, and thank you so much for being a friend of What's Happening, Delco. We look forward to all the great things at STM Sports and Collectibles, and can't wait to see what you pick up next for the house.
Thank you so. Thanks, Rich. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Sal.